give me one shot here on a blue chip stock, believe me, Kevin, the only problem you're gonna have is that you didn't buy more.
Nobody knows if the stock is going to go up, down, sideways, or in circles.
What's going on, NBA draft fans? Your boys are back. It's the Wolf of Ball Street, your favorite draft analyst. Welcome to the Draftdaq NBA Draft Show. My name is Corey Tullaba, and I am not joined today by Albert Garbage Time Gim. Instead, we have a special fill-in co-host. It is the conductor of chaos, of No Ceilings himself, Mr. Tyler Rucker. Tyler, what's cracking, dude?
Anytime I get the call to pinch hit or come off the bench for Albert, I'll be there running. So I'm doing good, middle of the week. Anytime I see the Draftdaq beacon up in the sky like Batman, I'm ready to roll. So let's party. How are we doing, Corey? How's the week going?
The week is going well. Happy to have, the super 6-man Jordan Poole coming off the bench. Is he gonna, go for 35 tonight? Is it gonna be 2 for 11? No one knows. That's the fun of doing this live. But we're happy to have you because it's been a minute since we got to actually break down some NBA draft prospects. And today I am really excited because I feel like there's a guy who's been slipping through the cracks. And I've been the guy who tries to keep prospects draft stock updated and give an overall bigger picture, so we're not all living in the ESPN bubble or even our own No Ceilings bubble. I want the big picture. And there's just somebody who I know we both have been paying attention to, and he's just been slipping through the cracks. And I'm talking about Mr. Jalen Hood-Schifino, Indiana point guard, combo guard, whatever you want to call him. He is a 19-year-old freshman right now. He'll be 20 years old on draft night. Listed at 6'6", 215. I saw a reported +4 wingspan. We'll see about, some of that kind of stuff at the actual draft combine because, it's just a website throwing out a number. Don't know where they got it from, but I saw it, so I'm gonna say it on the air. Mr. Hood-Schifino is playing 30 minutes per game, averaging 13.4 points per game, 4.3 rebounds, 4.6 assists, 3.3 turnovers, 1.1 steal, has not yet recorded a block. He is shooting 45.6% from the field, 47.7% from way downtown, and 70.3% from the free throw line. True shooting percentage of 56.5%. Now, preseason, Jalen Hood-Schifino's draft stock was at 57 on ESPN. SB Nation did not have him ranked in their top 30. Basketball News had him at 29. The Athletic had him at 30. Tankathon didn't have him ranked. We had him at 18 at No Ceiling. Sports Illustrated did not have him ranked. That was an average price of 38.4. He came in at number 38 on the top 40 Draftdaq IPO. However, he went unranked on the latest draft rankings that we did last week for NoCeilingsNBA.com. It's free. You can subscribe. You'll get everything delivered directly to your inbox every Monday through Friday. But currently, ESPN, not in their top 100. The Athletic has him at 53. Tankathon does not have him ranked. Basketball News does not have him ranked. Bleacher Report did not have him ranked. Sports Illustrated did not have him ranked. At No Ceilings, he had dropped to number 23. Doesn't even have an average stock price right now. So I usually ask from here, is Jalen Hood-Schifino stock price too high, too low, or is it just right? But instead, I'm going to pivot here. And Tyler, I'm going to ask you, what the fuck is going on here?
For everyone listening, I feel like the major reason I wanted to do this was you told me, hey, we're going to talk about Jalen. And I was like, oh, I am there. Like, I don't get this at all. I've thrown a couple tweets on social media, just talking about how impressed I've been with his game this year, and got off to a slow start, was getting some preseason buzz, and then I got off to a slow start. And I feel like everyone was like, oh, okay, automatically he's going to be a guy that isn't a one and done. But then you look at the splits throughout the year. I mean, the numbers sound great. And then you look at the splits and they're absolutely ridiculous because you have to understand the situation that's going on. And his first 6 games, he's averaging 26 minutes, 7, 4, 4, and 1 on shooting splits of 33, 25, 63. Not great. I completely get it. Not the best. And then this happens. The last 6 games, 33 minutes, 19, 4, 4, and 2, or in 4 and 1, excuse me, shooting splits of 54, 60, 73. And the big thing to realize for everyone out there is, Indiana goes into Kansas. They got worked. Xavier Johnson went down with an injury. It was a big part of their backcourt. And from that game on, Jalen's averaging 22, 3, and 5 on 62, 65, 70. Field goal attempts are up by a lot. I mean, and just watching him on the court, I think I don't know. I'm telling you, Corey, I feel like Mugatu in Zoolander. I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. This is absolutely insane. Like what's going on?
Look, dude's been on a heater. And if the hangover taught me anything, you never leave a heater.
Never. You never leave it.
Now, I was reading an interview in the preseason because I think maybe some of these sites are hearing some intel, like maybe they think that he's a multi-year guy. But I was reading this interview with Trace Jackson Davis, and he was like, I hope you guys don't, get used to this guy because I think he's gone after this year. Like he was like, this dude is really good. Like I think he's a one and done.
Yeah.
I mean, that's his boy. He probably has a little, bit of inside information there himself. And if he's going to inevitably tail off the shooting percentages a little bit, they're going to, caper off slowly and even out. But even if they do that a little bit, this dude is going to get drafted. He has everything you want out of a guard. And it's not like he's just some guy who has come out of nowhere. Like he was the starting point guard for Montverde Academy, playing with Derek and Dylan Mitchell and guys like that. Like this is a real deal prospect playing in a real conference, putting up real numbers now. So I'm confused as to why everyone's just out. I feel like, people are going to very soon take a look and be like, oh, this is happening. I got to recalibrate this. But even just that precipitous drop, I think has shocked all of us because I know a lot of us were high on him coming into the year. And I know we threw it in the group chat the other day. We had never wavered. And you were like, yeah, I think I have this. I still have him top 20. And I was like, yeah, I still have him top 15. And this is like in the midst of before he even dropped that 30 piece, which he had recently. So like, I think we see the vision. I think people are going to start seeing the vision because this kid is really good. I know we both went to see him live. And that didn't happen for us because he was out with that back stuff. So to be fair, back stuff is scary, especially from young guys. That stuff that, if that lingers throughout your career, you're going to be in and out of the lineup. Maybe it's tough to find a groove, but, we'll see how that bothers him throughout the rest of the year. Maybe it was just a one-time thing, but I'm thinking that his draft stock is about to explode in a big way and maybe catch up to where we're at because I truly believe that this dude has some serious potential based on how this league is trending. And we saw that at Montverde when we were doing his preseason tape. We were like, yo, Hood-Schifino's good. This, it's not shocking to us that he's doing this. But I'm going to throw a question at you real quick. Yeah. And I usually do this because this is where I'm at. And I want to see where you're at.
Okay.
If you had $10 to invest in Jalen Hood-Schifino, Anthony Black, and Cason Wallace, how are you spending your $10?
Ooh, this is good. Good. Okay.
I know it is.
Okay. I'm going to go, I'm going to cheat a little bit. I'm going to give Cason 4.
Mm-hmm.
People are going to be surprised by these next two numbers. I'm going to give Jalen 4, and I'm going to give Anthony Black 2. and I like all of them. I think they're all very unique. I think they all have a little bit of different skill set, if you want to put it that way. Like, they're all guards. They all can make the right reads. They can all be a huge impact on the court. I love Cason Wallace. I think he's Drew Holiday 2.0. I just love the way he plays the game. The shooting splits this year have been outstanding until the last 2 games, but he just plays. He looks like he's going to be a pest. He looks like a guy that's going to play a really long time. Anthony Black, absolutely love. I think he's got size. He's got that playmaking ability. I think there's potential for the rest of the game to come around. But, I talked about it this morning a little bit in the group chat. I was like, Jalen's reaching a conversation that's going to be a little rude for a lot of people. It's going to be a rude awakening because there is a lot of skills at 6'6". He is smooth. He's calm. He makes you play to his speed, and he is always under control out there. Now, I mean, he's had some high games where it's some turnover stuff, but I think you watch that Iowa game. I mean, you watch that game alone, you're like, this is a lottery guy. Yeah. And then he's been doing that throughout the year. He's been showing flashes. Now it's becoming more consistent because he's getting the confidence. And I'm like you, I'm shocked that there hasn't been more buzz, but I think this is the start of Intel season. When you start seeing that stuff, you're like, something's up. Well, what's going on? And then you start asking around. And if you don't get a clear answer, you're going to be like, what the hell are we doing here?
Right.
And I'm just the back thing. I'm right there with you. If that's a serious issue, I understand why he isn't getting more national buzz. But if that's not, then I'm going to be like, okay, what's going on? What did he do to you guys?
Look, the back stuff's scary, but that was the same kind of thing that happened with Michael Porter Jr.
Right.
And I think there are a lot of teams that regret passing on him for this back injury and not just taking that shot because, it's something that he has dealt with through his career, right? But when that dude plays, he looks like he is going to be a valuable piece on a title contending Nuggets team. So I think maybe that could be overblown, especially because it's not like he had surgery and he's looking and moving well out there right now. I would spend $5 on Hood-Schifino in this scenario. I would spend 3 on Cason and 2 on Anthony Black, and those 2 could flip-flop for me based on what hour and time of the day that you're speaking with me. I have them back to back on my latest board, and they're giving me headaches because I love them both, and there are things about them both that confound me and really make me think. But Jalen is a guy who I'm willing to stick my neck out on because I think he's got an NBA game, and we'll get into that. I think a good place to start is going to be some of the shooting, because I think that was the question mark coming in to the year. I think people believed in the mid-range shot, but were cautious about him as a 3-point shooter, which is something, he kind of struggled with percentage-wise in high school. But for me, for people who listen to this show, I'm a form guy. I buy into the form with young prospects. And I thought that he was going to be able to extend that mid-range form out because it looked nice. It's solid. It went in at a good clip. And he has extended that out. Now, here is something about his 3-point shooting that I think is really encouraging. 57% assisted. So that's a lot of self-creation, off the bounce stuff. And when you got a guy who, when we get into the other parts of his game, but is also able to knock down self-created outside shots. And again, he's shooting 47% from 3 right now. Those numbers will level out. But if he ends at 37, 38%, that is a real deal number. He punishes unders. He could shoot it off the catch. I don't think he's flying around the court like JJ Redick or anything, but you want to give him a DHO, a pitch, something like that. I think he can let it fly. Sometimes he doesn't like step into it or hop into it. Maybe he shoots it a little flat, but smooth, high arcing stroke. Like I said, I think he's a killer in that mid-range area, which is going to open up some of the parts of his game that we'll talk about later. There's no shock for me that it's carried over. maybe at this percentage, it's a little shocking. But again, I think it's all going to even out. Are you shocked at all that he's actually knocking down these 3-point shots in college?
No. I'm right. I mean, you're the shot doctor. We all come to you, but I feel like I know my stuff when I can see some form and be like, okay, it looks solid. And he just looks always smooth and under control. And I never feel like he's rushed. And I feel like, it's funny how you say that. He picks apart people with getting to his spots. Like he'll dare you to be like, what do you want to give me? And then the moment he finds a light to just go attack it, he's like, okay, you want to give me the elbow jumper? Fine. That's exactly what I want to take. Like it just seems like he's always under control, and he's a move ahead in a weird way, where of just being like, let me go find my spots. And if not, someone's going to be open. And he's just it's real good timing with everything when it comes to his shot selection at times. Like I just feel like it's usually under control and in rhythm, and it's not a guy chasing his shots unless he's like, no, I hit a couple, here we go. Like, yeah, that's fine. And I go back to the Iowa game. He's hitting off the bounce. He's hitting step backs. He's hitting everything from deep. And it just looks like a guy that is surging with confidence right now. And that's what you can see from the percentage spike.
Yeah, 100%. And sometimes that's what you need as a shooter. Like, I think Dylan Mitchell actually has pretty good form.
Yeah.
I think the shot looks good, but he's got no confidence to shoot it.
Right.
Right. At times, Amen Thompson, whose form I don't love, he also at times doesn't have the confidence to shoot it. And it almost seems like he's being dared. Whereas Cam Whitmore, whose form I also have some issues with, and he's, shooting right around the 30% mark, he's a guy who is confidently letting it fly. So sometimes just the confidence to shoot it is an important thing, and getting it up at volume. Hood-Schifino from behind the arc has proven he could do that, and he's proven that he's willing to do it when he's covered, when they're playing off of him, off the bounce, off the catch, all of that. I love that so much, because I think that shot is going to make him a playmaking problem in the NBA. If I'm going down the list and I'm like, who are the best, playmakers from the guard position in this class, I think he's got to be up there. And it's not that I don't think there are a ton of guys in this class who are like really insane playmakers. Like, obviously Amen is a fantastic playmaker. If you think he's going to be a point guard, Asar is a good playmaker, but he's more of a wing. Scoot obviously has been phenomenal in that regard. But then you're getting into the Case and Wallace's, who, makes the right decision, moves the ball, but you're not writing about him as a playmaker. Sasser is more of a scorer. Terquavion Smith is more of a scorer. Anthony Black is, I think, the other guy in that conversation. But he almost feels kind of like a Lonzo Ball connector rather than a half-court dissect you kind of guy. I think Hood-Schifino is a guy who's going to be able to dissect you a little bit. And if he's knocking down those threes, it's going to allow him to get into that elbow action, and he's going to, get you on his hip and just pick you apart with NBA spacing. I mean, you talked about the Iowa game. Some of the passes he was making in that game, man, and he does the thing where he looks you off. Like he'll look at the guy on the wing and just throw a bullet to the guy underneath the rim. And that's the shit that gets my juices flowing, that I'm like, oh yeah, that's that's the special sauce. Somebody turn the lights off. Like, leave me alone for a couple of minutes, guys.
That's when you start playing Careless Whisper in the background. But I'm right there with you. When you're feeling it as a playmaker, as a passer, and the game's just slowing down, and you're looking defenders off, you're selling secondary defenders with just where you're trying to, just your eyes. Like, that's when you're really cooking with some stuff that I'm like, okay, you're playing at a different speed right now. And, like you said, he played at Montverde. So he's been through the gauntlet. He knows what it takes to be working on your game all day, be a pro. I think I even saw a quote that he referenced, Montverde, we're practicing 3 hours a day. Like, I get to college, it's the same exact thing. It's just we're in college now. And I think it's a guy that, he spent time, I think, training with guys like Paul George, and he's going to know what it takes to be a pro. And I'm just shocked that he's not getting a little bit more love, because as you're talking about it, I mean, him, Keontae. Those are two guys that have just really wowed me with playmaking in this class that I'm like, whoa, okay, there's something serious here. And Jalen's now doing it with picking you apart, like you're saying, Corey. Like now he's doing it where he's like, I can dissect you this way, or if you play off of me to try to stop, or I can pull you apart and hit you with a step back and hit you. He's got 3-level scoring now. I mean, he's just becoming dangerous. And if we're talking about a 6'6" combo guard that somehow finishes the year with 15 points per game and shooting splits of 40-40, I mean, that's a lottery guy to me. I mean, he's just oozing with upside, and I just love his basketball IQ and his floor awareness. I think he's got the package.
Yeah, it's funny because Keontae, I think, has been the guy who's impressed most people because I think expectations were really low as far as playmaking. When we did our preseason episode, Albert and I, we kind of talked about, like, we don't think Keontae is a bad passer. We just think he's like a move off the ball kind of guy. Like, he makes quick decisions, but he's not like hitting the weak side corner and this and that. And then now, he's doing something that Jalen's also doing where I'm just really impressed with his timing and ball placement. If he's trying to get the ball to a big, he's not passing it necessarily to his chest if somebody is fronting him on the left block, right? He's throwing it more to, the upper quadrant of the right side of the rim so that he's taking the defender out of the play and the big can just go up. Jalen's doing that kind of stuff too, on entry passes when TJD has got somebody on the block, like there might not be another guard in this class I want giving him an entry pass, more so than Jalen Hood-Schifino. But where the difference is with me personally and how I feel, and I think, everybody at No Ceilings knows how big of a fan of Keontae George's game I am. The difference between Keontae as a playmaker and I think Jalen Hood-Schifino as a playmaker is that I look at Keontae in more of a secondary playmaking role where I don't have to rely on him night in, night out to run my offense. He's a guy who's, going to look to score the ball when he's on it, but he's capable of making the next read when guys load up, but also is going to be a guy you want playing with a primary playmaker and running off the ball and flying off screens and pin downs and coming through elevators and, serving as a multi kind of level offensive threat. I think Jalen Hood-Schifino has the capacity in him in the long term to be a guy who can dice you up as a primary ball handler. And you want running your offense, and Trust is going to make good decisions and make all those reads. And because of, him connecting on these shots, he is going to be able to serve off the ball off of, maybe a superstar player that he's playing with, but you trust him a little bit more to also run your offense, settle stuff down. That to me is the difference between those guys. And that's what's so intriguing about Jalen Hood-Schifino, because you're getting that in a package of a guy who's 6'5", 6'6", who's strong. He's listed at 215. You look at his shoulders. He's already built. He's just a really intriguing playmaker. And, one of the things I love about him, and you touched on it really quickly, the dude doesn't get sped up. He plays at his pace. And sometimes I think that evaluators and scouts and, just casual fans, they mistake that for like a lack of athleticism, when in reality it's just a guy who knows he doesn't have to go 100 miles an hour because he has the understanding and feel to kind of know what is needed in the offense. And instead of just go, you're like, all right, I'm just going to get to my spot. I'm going to come off the screen. I'm going to get you on the hit. I'm going to put you in jail, get low to the ground. When I come up, the big is going to come up to me because they wants to stop that little mid-range shot. And now I got a little drop off to Trace Jackson Davis at the rim. And both of those guys play at such an excellent pace that, they don't have to go fast. And that's what I see from Hood-Schifino. And I think when you look at the best playmakers in the league, that's what you see. That's the common denominator. It's not guys who are going balls to the wall, because most guys can't do that. Of course, you have your outliers, right? When Amen gets to the league, he's going to be able to just beat you with his first step and force guys to like have to hustle out of position because it's going to be really hard to keep up with him. And that's going to be able to, but a guy like Josh Giddey, he's not blowing by you with his first step. He just knows exactly where the ball needs to go and how it can get there. and he doesn't have to get sped up. Obviously, Luka's a different beast. LeBron's a different beast, but there's just a lot of guys with this playmaking feel that don't have the athleticism, but because they have plus positional size, they're able to use that to be patient and play at their own speed. And that's probably my favorite part of his game, is how I know if I put my coaching hat on, this is a guy I know is just going to keep the offense flowing and humming along. And I'm not going to hit that gas pedal and the engine's just going to collapse out of the car. I know he's going to be able to slowly get us up to the speed we need to go, and we're going to eventually get there.
He's going to be low maintenance, and that's what you're starting to see right now when he's getting this extended run. And I'm right there with you. I think I did a show with Nick on the Deep Dives pod for No Ceilings, and he had a good analogy. We were talking about guards playing with elite speed, and we were talking about like De'Aaron Fox, and it's like, yeah, Fox is a blur. He's got elite speed, and it's always really exciting to get those guys. Like we were talking about Amen Thompson. Like Amen's going to have some fast breaks at the next level where he's going to just blow by everyone because he's so damn quick. But Nick put it great. He compared it to baseball, and he's like, if you're trying to hit off a pitcher and a pitcher throws 100 miles an hour, 20 times in a row, eventually you're going to figure out how to time that.
Right.
But it is, and I agree with this, it is so much more dangerous if you don't have that elite speed, but you can play like a sports car with change of gears, and you've got 6 different gears that you know how to sell people on your hesitations and going from first to third gear and then back down. And then that's exactly what Jalen shows he can do. And he also understands how to use his body and not to rush it. He's got the handles. He's smooth. And I just cannot stress it enough. He's so poised. He makes everyone come down to his speed, and he knows when he needs to hit that quick little burst to get that extra separation. And, I was just thinking about it. I was like, why is this guy reminding me of someone? And then I was like, offensively only. I'm only talking about that.
Well, we're not at our comp, so let's say you're speeding ahead.
All right. I was comparing him to a guy who got drafted last year, but we'll wait.
Okay.
We're
gonna wait.
Okay.
Tease it. That's what we call a teaser in the biz.
Call that a teaser.
Before we move on to other aspects of his game, I want to shout out everybody watching live on YouTube. Shout out to our guy Pee Wee the Plug and the Through the Wire guys. Make sure you're watching Pierre's NBA Weekly and his rebuilds. Shout out to see if I can pronounce this right. Zvex. Rucker says that the newsletter title today was wild, referring to your big Grady Dick energy piece that you released this morning on NoCeilingsNBA.com, which is our website that you could subscribe to for free, where you wrote up about Grady Dick and his not only his shooting but the rest of his game.
We had some good candidates there. Unfortunately, I went with that one, but I think you don't know Dick was also in the running, but I figured that was the right call. I was gonna get banned. Shout out to Elon Musk and Twitter as well. They gave us a sensitive content warning because of the Grady Dick name usage in my title, so I really appreciate that. It was I laughed for a good 10 minutes, so But thank you very much for that shout out. Also, shout out Pee Wee. We appreciate that.
Yeah, he's that's his name. We don't need to be banned for just calling a guy what it is. All right, let's talk about his finishing a little bit, because I'm like, that's like offensively, because the turnovers, 3 a game. I think sometimes he sees things that other guys don't see. He might try to fling a ball into a tight space, and maybe a guy's not ready, and maybe sometimes he's just being over ambitious, but it's not anything I'm really truly worried about with him, because I think it's all like the turnovers are good turnovers, if that makes sense. They're aggressive. He's figuring himself out, and he's figuring his teammates out. And I think some of the turnovers won't be turnovers in the NBA as long as, he doesn't go to like a disaster team like the Houston Rockets, where everything is just chaos on a nightly basis. Although he could probably help them kind of rein that in a little bit and bring some stability.
He'd be fantastic there.
But the finishing, I'm not like concerned about it. But he's 53% at the rim.
Okay,
And
well, you vent to me, because I could see there's some demons right there. You got a little bit of some stuff in your head you need to let out. So
only some. Because one, I think he needs to do a better job of going into contact.
Okay.
He has the frame for it, and sometimes I think, he's a little bit afraid to just like go through a guy. Bring him. We talked about Keontae and him as passers. Keontae's a guy that will just go through your chest. Like he's attacking a closeout and he is going right into your body and finishing through. I don't necessarily see that with Jalen, and he's a guy who's strong as all hell and has good size. Like I want to see him do that. And the worst case, you get get to the free throw line, right? And he's a decent enough free throw shooter. His touch isn't like great on like at the rim stuff. I think he's got pretty good touch on floaters, although he hasn't really gotten to a ton of them this year because he's a guy who does have that mid-range pull up to his bag, which I love that he can kind of get to both of those things. The touch, I don't think is super awesome. Now, on the positive, I think he's something like 90-something% self-created on at-rim attempts. It's not like he's reliant on other people creating his stuff, so he can get there himself. And I think that eventually, if you can move him off ball a little bit, TJD is a phenomenal passer. If we can get some backdoor kind of actions, like get him in a horn set and then get just some easy stuff at the rim a couple of times a game, I think that would be great. Now, it's also not like Amen Thompson, where you probably look at his at the rim percentage and it's super inflated because of transition stuff. So that's kind of where I'm at finishing wise. I'm not concerned, but if there's one thing I think that I would love to see improvement on throughout the rest of the course of the year, maybe if he finishes at like 58% at the rim, that would be super dope for me.
Okay, so we're not overly concerned. We're not getting like a group of therapists to calm you down. I thought
no.
Everyone was about to call this the Brandon Miller hour, but we're not there yet, so it's okay.
We're not there yet.
Yeah,
I don't even think I was there with Brandon Miller, to be completely honest, because it's super early when that was happening.
I wasn't there either. I think it was like 8 games into the year, and I was like, hey, can we calm down? I haven't even gotten a cup of coffee yet in this season, but it's okay because we're here. We're having fun. But it's a good point you bring up, because that's definitely an area I feel is the next step for Jalen. And how quickly he's turned the corner, if you want to put it that way, of like, okay, all of a sudden I've found my groove and now we're cooking. Now you want to see, it's like, okay, what can you add? What else are you going to figure out? Because he's still figuring out the speed of everything. He had that injury after a slow start, missed a couple games. But even when I went to go see him, he was on the floor, and I was like, man, he's big. And it wasn't just like 6'6". I was like, he's stocky. He's going to be a problem to deal with. And
broad shoulders.
Yeah, he's exactly what you would want if you're looking for a heck of a piece to take your team to the next level. And I'm just shocked. I'm sorry for everyone watching live. I feel like I'm going to say that word 30 times, but I'm just shocked he's not getting some more love, some more respect, because the dude can play. And it does not take long if you've watched his last stretches of games. He looks like an NBA guy that's going to play for a long time and be a problem. Like, you're going to look up and be like, gosh, if your team drops him, you're like, man, we got so lucky getting Jalen. Like, this is great. Or if you're playing against him, you're like, dude, this dude's a problem. So I love what I've seen. I think he's taking huge steps in the right areas right now, where like the confidence is growing, his outside shots falling. He's picking apart defenses in the mid-range, and he's confident off the bounce. And like you say, he can just do some damage by himself. And I don't care what anyone wants to say. Like, the NBA gets heavy with the ISOs. So, I mean, if you can succeed on that level, you're going to be able to find some early success. And I still believe, like, no offense to that Indiana team, but Jalen going to the next level, you put NBA guys around him with additional spacing, he's going to be even more dangerous.
Here's
go Hoosiers, by the way.
Here's the only other thing I would like to see a little bit more of, and I don't know if we're going to see it this year. I don't know if maybe the numbers say I'm wrong and it's just me going off the eye test. But I think I don't think it's necessarily him, because I think sometimes he gets the ball up the floor quick and into their half court set. But I want to see like the transition. Like, I want to see the pace pushed a little bit more, because I think you look at him as a passer, and I kind of feel like his assist numbers should be a little bit higher. Now he's also playing with a playmaker like Trace, who is generating a lot of the offense, and they're running a lot of stuff through him. But I feel like in the NBA, with like in this era where people just want to push the pace and have that ball swinging around, I feel like he can get the ball up the floor and just make stuff happen in transition. And again, it could be a stylistic thing with Indiana, and maybe I'm just completely wrong, and their numbers say they run the ball up the court all the time. I don't think so, but I think they like getting into their half court sets and getting it down into the post and doing a lot of stuff there. But I think that's going to be something he's going to have with him at the next level, and something that could bring out a little bit more of him as a playmaker. Because, you look at his assist percentage, I think it's around 25% or something. It's pretty good. It's not like Sharif Cooper or anything. And I don't think he's going to be a guy who has that crazy absurd 40% assist percentage. But I think he's a guy who should be more in that 32, 33% range. And, I think maybe getting that ball up the floor a little bit more often could help that. Do you have anything else about his offensive game that you want to touch on before we get to the defense?
No, I mean, I'm like you. When I saw Indiana play against Arizona, I just feel like, and he didn't play in that game, but I felt like they were just all over the place when it came to transition. I was like, man, it'd be really nice to have a controlled guy that could run the tempo right now and figure things out. But I'm like you. I think he's got the tools to be a really unique weapon in transition, especially with his size and his smoothness. But that's also, you got to take into consideration of the situation he's in. I mean, maybe this is just a tease of what type of player he could be at the next level. So I'm right there with you. Push the damn ball. Let's get up the court.
Let's go. We like fast offense here. That's everyone knows that about us. Let's talk about his defense. Where are you at with him as a defensive prospect?
I mean, first of all, ever since you brought this up, I can't get it out of my head. He has the +4 wingspan is going to get me into some dangerous thoughts. And I'm usually
it's a reported +4 wingspan.
But I'm usually not a wingspan guy. But +4 just makes me even more confused about why no one's talking about it. I'm not too worried, but hit me with it. Talk to me, Goose.
I think he's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why this is why I've never wavered, and why I think I have him as a lottery level guy, when most outlets aren't even considering him this year. And maybe those outlets are right. Maybe they have the intel, but I don't care about the intel. I care about what my eyes are telling me, and they're telling me he's a damn good player who is probably going to be coming out this year. He's big and strong. If that +4 is right, he's long. But even if he's not super, even if he's, even just positionally, that's perfectly fine length for the spots he's going to be guarding. And he's got the, the weight on him to be able to, bang up with, maybe some threes. And I think he's got the feet to stay with, ones as a pick and roll defender, because he's so strong. And I just think he's a smart cerebral guy. I think he could, he knows when to step over, and I think he does a good job navigating screens. Off the ball, I think that he's not anybody who's coming over from the weak side and swatting your shot. Obviously, he hasn't registered one block the entire season, but I think he's got a good recognition of when he's supposed to be shifting into the paint on the weak side, when he's supposed to be sticking on, strong corner on the strong side, when he's supposed to be shifting into splitting the difference on the weak. I think he's got good recognition of that. If you just focus on him, he's keeping his head on a swivel. It's all good stuff. Do I think he is going to be Marcus Smart? I do not. But I think that he's got the requisite size and physical traits to be able to go up and down and be versatile as a switchable defender. And I think he's got, the basketball feel and IQ to, be a guy who's not going to tear apart your defense when he's playing off of the ball. So I'm positive on it. And again, I think this makes him a two-way player who has the ability to go get you a bucket or run your offense and be a good defender. And that's why I think that this guy is going to be a guy that everyone's going to be like, man, this guy really rose up the board once we got into conference play. And it's like,
yes,
maybe he should have just been there the whole fucking time.
I feel when he started to get some confidence, and I was like, man, if he puts together a stretch in conference play, this dude's going to be sizzling. And then we got all those, mainstream mock drafts, big boards. And I was like, what did this guy do? Did he insult everyone? Like, I just have been confused. And now he's really heating up. I'm like, okay, everyone needs to start talking again. We need to have a conversation. But this is now becoming the number one guy I want to ask around about when you're talking to scouts or guys around the league. And it's going to be fascinating because I'm right there with you. I think the defense is solid enough to where I'm not worried at all. And unfortunately, I'm getting to a point with Jalen where I'm like, I like a lot of stuff. Like, where are we overly concerned? Because he's a smart basketball player who understands the game. You could see he's aware on both sides of the ball. And I think it's just going to be one of these guys. Like, are we going to overthink Jalen moving forward? Like, is this going to be the guy in this class that everyone's overthinking? And we're just like, well, he looks solid, but
yeah,
like,
he's not sexy.
Yeah, it's
right?
like that's fine. That happens in every class. Keegan Murray was that guy for most of the year last year. And there's just always one guy where it's
Halliburton was that guy.
Yeah.
Scotty Barnes was that guy.
Those are three pretty good names, if you want to put it that way.
Are we putting them in that conversation?
No,
I don't think so. I don't think so.
No, I'm saying he's
maybe
he's becoming one of.
Are we ready to get wild?
Yeah, basically. I'm always ready. He's becoming a safe guy in my eyes, and that is. Let me stress that has to be with like a clear. The back is not an issue. He's got a clear bill of medical health. But if his back's messed up, I haven't seen it in the last couple of games. Like, he just dropped 33 in college. I mean, and that was with, I think, TJD had 18.
Oh, my God.
That game he had 30 and 9. But still, I love how they lost to Iowa with 66 points, 63 points. But I'm in a weird place now because I'm like, Jalen's checking all the boxes I want to see right now. And if he can keep this up, because when you're on this much of a heater, you're going to have a come back down to earth game. But if his come back down to earth game is 15, 6, and 4, I'm going to be like, okay, all right. So this is great.
Here's something that has weighed heavily into kind of my evaluations this year with guys. And it's like, does the median outcome of this man allow them to play in a conference finals? So not their ceiling, but they don't bust out. Can this guy play in a conference finals?
That's a good one.
Not the first round where, the number one team, you're the 8th seed in the East and, Giannis and the Bucks come and just wax you in 4 games, right? Can you be on a conference finals team if you just hit like your median to like maybe slightly above outcome? And I kind of think the answer is yes. Because if he's just a guy who, is going to get you into your offense, knock down shots off the catch, maybe, he hits, pull-up jumper every once in a while and plays defense on the other end is switchable. That's a guy who you can count on to play in a conference finals. Maybe not as a starter, but maybe as maybe as a starter. He could be a starter, he could be a bench guy, whatever. Like, he can come in and do his job. Can this guy play in a conference finals? My answer is yes. So that's something for me that I gotta weigh heavily. He fits the trend of the league. He's a guy I think I'm going to be able to trust down the line. He fits into a ton of roster construction, and he has some potential that I think is being slept on because this is a guy who can hit tough shots off of the bounce from multiple levels. So just, I don't know what I'm missing. I don't know what everyone else is missing. I know what I see. Maybe we're seeing it wrong, and everybody else is just like, this is obvious. He doesn't have the on-ball juice. I don't know, but this is a guy that I think has to start heating up, or we're just, every time he does something, we're just going to have to, have Paige or you throw on the Mugatu clip on Twitter to let everybody know that like it's happening again. Like, and why is nobody shouting it from the rooftop?
I feel like I need to, if he has another strong game, I feel like I'm just going to clip a tornado siren going off for an hour and just be like, what are we doing? Everybody wake up. And it's, hey, I'm going to be fine if I'm wrong. If everyone says I'm crazy and, it's like, no way, he's not going to be a one and done. And I'm going to be like, okay, fine. I will be on that street alone. I've done it before and it is lovely this time of the year. I love being on that street. Plenty of real estate.
You live out west where it's warm out. It's,
there you go. But it's just, if you're telling me, let's say he ends up shooting 40% from three for the year. And you're telling me I've got a 6'6" combo guard with handles, playmaking ability, can space the floor, get to his shots, smart, and he's not a liability defensively. Yeah, I'd be pretty pumped to take that in the first round anywhere. Like, to answer your question from before, absolutely. I could see him being an X factor in a finals series. And it's just, that's the type of player teams continue to try to find, is plus size combo guards with versatility on both sides of the ball that just know how to play the game, know where to put themselves, know how not to force shots, know how to get to their zones that make them a higher threat or, more successful, and also put teammates in those positions and know how to balance the two. And I think that's what we're seeing from Jalen lately. And I'm excited to see what he keeps doing because he's got some serious momentum cooking. And if he has a 4-point game next game, I'm probably just going to collapse.
We can call this segment Worst Take.
Yeah. Great.
If we want. Because, maybe this is a breakout that we clip because I'm so obnoxiously wrong 3 years down the line.
Yeah.
So we'll call this Worst Take. And I put this into the group chat. I think there's a world where Jalen Hood-Schifino is the second best guard that comes out of this draft class.
I'm agreeing with you. And everyone on YouTube live with us right now is probably like, you guys are insane. And I'm like, yeah,
Shouts out to everybody.
Shout out to everybody. I love the chat. I've missed the chat. I need to get Metcalf to do more live stuff, but he's not a live guy. I don't think he's a live guy.
What is there not to be a live guy about? It's the same thing. There's just people, interacting.
Yeah, I understand, but that I love fans. I want to talk to them all the time. You guys ask good stuff. I don't think you're crazy with that take at all. And when you first said that this morning, I hadn't had my coffee, and then I sat down and looked at some of the names.
You're 3 hours behind.
No, yeah. I mean, I just chugged another one. So I looked at some of the names, and I'm like, it's, I love Cason Wallace. Is it unrealistic for him to be above him? No, it's not. And I was like, I like Anthony Black a lot, but I was like, Jalen's not that far off. And if he keeps playing like this, you're going to enter a very interesting conversation with some of these names. It's like, well, he's 6'6". He's got the versatility. I mean, if that's what I'm continuing to say, if he finishes 50-40 on the year with his playmaking ability, this is going to get a very interesting conversation. But Intel season, this is where you get your money's worth when you have some good connections that know some dirt.
We used to, and we'll bring it back when the draft order is set, but we used to do the like, what team do you think would be like the best fit? And I'm only bringing this up because our guy Pierre in the chat was like, when I asked the conference finals question, he responded, yes, don't let Phoenix get him.
Oh gosh. What a perfect fit.
Who is at right now on Tankathon? They're at 16, well, as they sit at 500, and would be, the perfect successor to Chris Paul. Imagine Jalen Hood-Schifino sitting behind CP3 for a year or two before he's able to take over and be Devin Booker's backcourt mate. The Suns are at 16 right now. Like, just the absolute perfect spot. What if you put him, next to an Anthony Edwards or I don't know. We don't need to get into that. Let's go into our if you bought stock in Jalen Hood-Schifino, who may you have bought stock in previously segment, which is where we do our player comps. Because, you were about to rattle one off, but I told you can't spoil the format of the show. This is my show.
I'm just excited to be here. Okay. It's been a minute.
So I'm giving you the floor now. Who was the guy that was coming to mind when you were going on your soliloquy?
Well, what I was trying to bring up, and I'm glad you stopped me because I would have just been a disaster in the player comp, because everybody knows this about me. I hate player comps. I don't do them well. I'm terrible at them because it's, I don't want to compare them to someone. They're unique. They're special. If you bought stock in this guy last year, why would you not buy stock in Jalen? And my name I have to bring up is there was a 6'6", 6'7", rumor that he grew to 6'8", guard that got drafted in the top 10 last year. That was also very similar on the offensive side of the ball. And I'm talking about Dyson Daniels. So if you bought stock in Dyson Daniels last year, were you buying it just because of the defense upside, or were you buying it because of what he's growing into as an offensive guy? And you could argue Jalen's way ahead of him offensively right now. Now, defense, Dyson's a special prospect.
100%.
Going to be a problem in a couple of years, if not already. But, this is what we're talking about. Guy just went 8th. He's 6'6" combo guard with length, upside, smooth stroke from outside. And I think Jalen's on this path of being more advanced offensively. And he's not going to probably reach where Dyson will potentially be as a defensive weapon, but just another guy. I still believe if you have that versatility with plus size at your position, teams are going to be hunting for you. And it would not shock me if all of a sudden we get 3, reports of, Jalen's scorching up the draft boards. He's now projected 18th again. It's like, okay, yeah, here we go. Now we're starting to make sense. But until then, I'm going to be Mugatu. I just am convinced that's going to be me.
All right. I like that one. I'm proud of you.
Give me a better one. Yeah, that's probably the best one I've had since, the 80s. Wasn't born, guys.
What a time.
What a time. Motley Crue was sick live.
Big birth year for me in 86. Mets won the World Series. Giants won the Super Bowl. It's a big New York year.
Who won the finals in the NBA? Thanks. Appreciate it. Next caller.
So I have 3.
Okay.
Which I think are all different kinds of outcomes. All right. Jumbo Tyus Jones.
Okay.
Right? I mean, cerebral guy. You could trust him. Not going to be the first, the guy who's on the posters or the social media posts necessarily, but he's a guy you want on your squad. Except he's 6'6", 6'5", 6'6".
Were you the most proud of that one, or was that your last one?
I think I'm pretty proud of all of these equally, to be honest.
Okay.
And one of them, I think I kind of came up with because of Pierre and Albert in the chat and their Knicks fandom. Malcolm Brogdon.
Yes, now we're talking. Okay, now we're cooking with gas. I appreciate this. Thank you.
Brogdon, I think, is a guy I trust as a shooter more. Like, he's a guy who's 90% at the free throw line on top of his 50, 40, 90 stuff. But just the way they play, their size, how you could use them, doesn't have to be your main guy, but you definitely could have a night where he's got it cooking and you're like, oh, Brogdon went for 30 tonight in a playoff game, right? You trust, as a Celtics fan, do you trust Malcolm Brogdon in a conference finals game?
Oh my gosh, I couldn't be more excited. If he's healthy, watching that dude play basketball has been an absolute joy this year, except every time he shoots a 3, I kind of have a stroke. That form is fascinating. So I don't know how he shoots so efficiently. It makes me feel like my shot's way better than it is. So yeah, I absolutely love Malcolm Brogdon. That's a good one. That's a very, very good one.
And then the last one, which Albert's just rattling off Knicks in the chat live. Shout out to Albert Garbage Time Gim.
If he tries to say John Starks, I'm going to literally turn it off.
No, he's throwing out Marty Collins type players right now. Which is why Albert is the GOAT of the if you bought stock in segment. But here's the other guy who I think is going to be should be a 2023 NBA All-Star. And that's Jalen Brunson.
Yeah. 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 That's exactly the way he plays the game. And It's why I loved Brunson at Nova. It's why I was like, hey, Brunson's going to figure it out in the NBA and play for a damn long good time. It's why I also was like, the Knicks would be smart to go get Jalen Brunson. They need Jalen Brunson because everyone, Brunson wasn't the sexiest free agent signing the Knicks ever had, but he's what you need to get to the next level. You need those guys that will play with pace and get everybody in position, and they make everyone better. And you're seeing what Brunson's done for the Knicks already. And I think that Jalen has the same potential to do that.
Yeah. I mean, and obviously like Jalen is a more like actualized version of what we're hoping.
Yes.
Or Jalen Brunson is of what we're hoping Jalen Hood-Schifino could be, in that, like, the footwork in the post and the finishing and all of that. But just as Jalen Brunson's never sped up, he gets anywhere he wants. He can knock down the three, but he's fine pulling up off a screen and, burying a mid-range shot in a drop big's face. Always at his own pace. You never have to really worry about his decision making unless he's up at the free throw line with a chance to, hit a big free throw and DeMar DeRozan comes over and whispers a little sweet nothing in his ear. Other than that, you never have to worry about anything going wrong with him. But that's a guy I think that Jalen Hood-Schifino should aspire to and just watch a million hours of film on, because I think there are a lot of similarities between their games. Only Jalen Hood-Schifino is like 4 to 5 inches taller than him. So, he has that added bonus. And that's why I think that this is a guy that really has a ton of potential, because this is, of course, the athletic, dynamic guard is always going to get people's attention. And you're always going to think, all right, that's a guy who has superstar upside. But, that's also the reason that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander went at the back end of the lottery and not the top 5, because people didn't buy into the fact that this is a guy who can get to any spot on the floor he wants, regardless of the fact that he's not moving a million miles an hour, and I'm not comping Jalen Hood-Schifino to SGA because, projecting anybody to score 30 points a night and become one of the craftiest players in the league is, kind of really insane to aspire to. But where they fall to. I'm back. Sorry, I don't know if
it's cool.
My audio, did my audio go out there?
Yeah, you went out for a second. I was about to be like, all right, that's it. Let's get real. I'm gonna solo this.
Yeah. What I'm saying is there's a reason that these guys go lower than they should in the draft, and then they outperform their draft stock. Well, we should just be projecting them to be, at this level to begin with, because craft and speed and IQ and feel and skill and side, like these are all the things the NBA loves, and that's what Jalen Hood-Schifino represents to me. So we did an entire hour on why this dude is going to be a guy that should be on your radar this minute, and not when Bleacher Report and ESPN eventually come crawling back to the JHS mania that I think is going to happen, even if he starts tapering off. So Rucker, I'm going to give you the floor now, because you wrote a piece. We touched on it earlier, but I want you to do all of the plugs as we gracefully exit and end this show.
Follow me at Tyler_Rucker on Twitter. Go to NoCeilingsNBA.com. It's absolutely free. We got some fun stuff on the horizon. I think we're going to get an updated mock draft and big board soon. Gosh, what else? We got a lot of crap working on. Good crap. We got midterms.
I got the bad crap. Name the movie. Name the movie.
Gosh. Celtic Pride.
Thank you.
Yeah, that would have ruined me if I didn't get that. But go to our YouTube channel. We've got midterms, mid-season highlights of all of we're probably going to do about 50 draft prospects, so you can get caught up on your film dives in a hurry. What else, Corey? Gosh, what else? Oh, me and you might have a little bit of a OTE piece on the horizon after Corey's got one more that he's cooking, though, that I'm really excited about.
Twinning.
Yeah, twins. And twins. I think that's all I got for now. Oh, go, podcast tomorrow. I'm recording with Metcalf. Great guy.
Right here.
We're gonna have
on this
some fun.
feed.
Yeah, on this feed. Go check it out. Other
Show
than
up, same
that,
time, same place.
Yeah, same time, same place. I promise we'll be there.
Yeah,
Other than
I'm
that-
right. That's it, right? Like we have a million things going on. I'm writing about Keontae George next week for my prospect chemistry series, piece that I'm very excited about because I love me some Keontae George, and this I've been fighting for him in our group chat with some of the guys, and that's what I love about the No Ceilings group chat and this crew is that we all have different opinions and we can bounce stuff off each other. But this is something I'm going to the grave with, is my love for Keontae George. And I hope that piece does it justice. Other than that, make sure you tune into the No Ceilings NBA Draft Show tomorrow for Tyler and Tyler. This has been the Draftdaq NBA Draft Show. We will be back next Thursday. If you're listening to this on the podcast feed, and either Tuesday or Wednesday, if you're watching this on YouTube, and hopefully my co-host Albert will be back and healthy. If you listened last week, he was powering through that pod, but he's still a little bit under the weather. I know he's working on something for next week as well. So that's noceilingsnba.com. You can find all of the stuff there. It's free. Thank you once again for rocking with us. Until next time, we out. Peace.